Hey there, are you a network marketer that lacks kind of like a blueprint? You just wish that you had the correct steps to take that were proven in the field so you could be clear and confident, because right now you're kind of getting distracted and trying all sorts of things and you're moving like crabbing sideways, this is my crab, as instead of going forward. I definitely faced this early on. I got 328 no's forward and reversing in these different directions. When I finally plugged into the blueprint I'm going to give you, the 7 steps here to follow, I went full time in my 5th month after that. I was a number 3 earner by the end of the year, and then the number 1 international earner a year after that. Now, I'm not saying and guaranteeing any results, but what I am going to say is I definitely, looking back, feel like what I'm going to teach you played a part in that. So I hope you find it useful, and I hope your team does too. Anyway, let's dive in with these 7 steps. So step number 1, you may not like this, but hear me out. You've got to inform your warm audience of what you're doing. Now, I didn't say sell. I didn't say do what the company did. Hey, I can't tell you what it's about. Meet me on Zoom or meet me in this dark room. And then there's some sales like, hey, if you love them, you'll buy. This is not the way to do things. No other business uses this tactic. Do you know why? Because it sucks. It doesn't work. You hate it. Your prospect hates it. It works for like 1% of people that are already, got a magical relationship with everybody. The rest of us, But what would you do if you were going to open any other type of business? You would literally say to the people you know, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you're ever in the market, come give me a shout. I'll do my best deal for you. That's what you would do. Because the last thing you want to have is you're at your next company convention and you're in the audience and you go, is that Margaret from Next Door But One? And she's like, hey, Richard, I brought in 8,000 people. Do you do this too? And you're like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I would have had a matching bonus on that. And you're like, oh my God, why didn't I tell Margaret what I did? So you just want to feel like you can sleep at night, so that you know that if anybody ever wants to do what you do, they know who to come to. And if they choose not to, at least you can say to yourself, well, I did give them the opportunity and they were the one to turn me down. I can live with that. What you won't want to do is have someone become a top earner in the company. You would have got a whole bunch of bonuses from that. And the only reason they didn't join you, or even worse, they say, I would have joined you, but you didn't tell me. You don't want to have that feeling. I've seen people literally at events shrink into a chair. I've seen that happen a couple of times over the years. So that's number 1. Number 2, we want to start with our own effectiveness. All these other tactics that I'm going to give you, they're going to be much more or much less effective based on how you implement them. Does that make sense? And so I learned a process called self-alchemy. Had nothing to do with business tactics, but it made a massive impact in my business because I didn't realize some of the things that I was doing was massively, that were holding me back. It's like an anchor I was dragging around with me, making me go slower. And so always look inward before you look outward is what I would say. Are there certain thoughts, habits, people that you're giving so much energy to and they really aren't serving you and they're dragging you back from the tactics that you're implementing? That will be point number 2. Point number 3, we need to set the success destination for you. Because think about this. Like if you're in the days before SatNav, right? Me and my wife would fall out all the time in the car because she would be telling me that it was the wrong way. I was not sure, but wasn't going to tell her that I thought it was maybe the wrong way. And so very quickly I would turn away from that. Well, let's pull in, let's find a service station. Let's find out where we are. Let's change our route. And so how long are you really going to stay on a route if you're not confident it's the right route because you don't even know where it's leading to? The answer is not very long. And so you need to define what success looks like for you within your company, within this project that you're doing in network marketing. And so that way, when you have a plan to follow, you can answer the question, yes or no, am I doing the right thing? Because if you're like, I don't really know, at some point in time, you're going to feel like it's a waste of time. And that's when the problems start. So that's step number, I think it was 3, wasn't it? Yeah, 3. Step number 4, this is massively overlooked in our industry. A lot of the time we're just kind of thrown into things we don't really want to do, right? It's like, hey, go tell people how fantastic this is and how much money they can make and just sign them up. Tell them other people doing well. And you're like, but I haven't made any money yet. And I find it very difficult, I don't know about you, to really sell something I'm not sold on myself. Like, would you recommend a restaurant that you've never eaten at? You wouldn't, because you'd be like, I don't actually really know. Other people say it was nice, but I've never eaten there, so I don't know what my opinion is. And yet in our industry all the time, we're kind of forcing ourselves to do this, and we don't have to. Listen, I know we live in a society that we're not very patient. I'm like, I want results like yesterday. But sometimes going a little bit slower short term actually speeds up the results and success you can get long term. And what I mean by that is, if let's say you take the next 2 weeks and instead of promoting, you say, no promotion, I'm going to focus on creating an amazing result using the product. And you say, well, Richard, I want to sign up team members. Okay. What happens if you sell a bunch of the product and you make a ton of commissions? You can then talk about the money-making side, because now you're making commissions. And so for me, a smarter approach is, as a beginner or as someone that wants a blueprint to follow, you should take a look and say, what result am I actually leaning on here? Where's my belief coming from? Where's my enthusiasm coming from? If someone turns around and says, what has this done for you? What is my response to that, and how good do I feel about that? And so taking a couple of weeks to generate a really strong result, and document this, video yourself, at least take notes of what's happening day by day. I think that would be a really, really smart move and an important step in this game plan, this blueprint I'm giving you. Next point. I'm saying next point because I've forgotten the number. I've written these down, but I forgot to put the numbers next to them. Create a funnel using that result. The reason I say this is, for me, hands down, I would not be doing my job of educating you correctly, teaching you correctly, if I didn't say to you the first step that someone should take, if there's at all any interest from them in what you offer, is giving you their email. That, for me, still to this day, first thing, if ever you click on anything of mine, I'm going to ask for your email. You know why I do that? Security. I've been in network marketing companies doing over $1 billion a year, substantial company, doing really well, winning awards. Within a year, it had gone. I had no part in that. We don't own the company, right? The owners made some poor decisions. We just had to face the consequences. And so the only thing that saved me was the fact that I had an email list. I think at that time I had a few thousand people on an email list. I could click and write an email and say, this is my new company, a whole bunch of people came with me. Or I could affiliate for a product and say, hey, I recommend this product. This is my review. I've been using it. Made a bunch of sales. Think, even if you're only showing, even if only 2 people a day, literally a couple of people are like, I'll take a look. Over the end of a year, this time next year, you'd have over 700 people on an email list. Now, do you think all of those people are going to sign up straight away? Of course not. So let's say 50 of them sign up straight away. So you've got 700 people who were interested, and maybe still are, who you can communicate with now, simply because you took my advice on this one step. Now, if 90% of them aren't bothered, that still leaves 70 that are. Maybe you sign up another 50 in one day. I've had this happen where I've signed up 20, 30, 40 people just by sending an email. And again, I can't say that will happen to you, but I can guarantee you it won't if you don't take this step. And so please pay attention. This is just smart marketing for your security. And it gives you flexibility and control, all sorts of things. We could make another video on that. Next point. Once you've gone through these points, you're going to now be ready to target a cold audience. And I use the word target on a purpose. I think a large problem with a lot of the lead generation strategies that are out there at the moment is it's like lick your finger and I'm a germ freak, so I'm not going to lick my finger, but you lick your finger and you put it in the wind, right, and go, which way is it blowing? That's no good. We need to have a reason why this person, why are you communicating with them? What is the benefit to them? And I'm not saying, well, I'll find out in a conversation. That's too slow. Like, the slice of the population that will genuinely be interested in what you offer and actually part with money to buy it is quite slim. Now, I'm not saying the slice of the population that could do that isn't fatter, but I'm saying the actual slice that will actually do something about it is quite thin. And so while you're out here chewing the fat with the people that are never going to buy from you, you're missing the slice of the population that would. Why? Because you'll message anyone and everyone. You'll speak to anyone and everyone. And although they could benefit, whether they will do something is a different story. And so my advice to you is very, very important. Leads, interest is the fuel that keeps the machine of your business running. And so you must have an element of filtration, of qualification. with the lead generation. This is what all that I teach. I'm like, this is how we generate leads the proper way. Because if we don't do it this way, we're just going to run out of time going back and forth with someone that never buys. And so it's very important as a part of your blueprint, you have targeted cold market lead generation so that you can take someone who doesn't know who you are and they can be a sale or sign up within a day or two quite quickly, because there's authority, there's trust, and there's specificity. It really makes a difference. Then the final, I'm going to give you a bonus, but the final point on kind of my main points here would be go for referrals. Like, how much easier would your business operate if the pressure for you to do everything by yourself alleviated? Like, literally month by month, there's more and more people sending more and more of their people to you. And this could be within your downline, but even without that, even prospects who told you no, if they're calling you up and saying, I got a couple of people who really would be a great fit for what you do, they sound excited about it, can I give you the number? Like, that would be brilliant, right? Or even a DM. You know, one of my friends noticed what you were doing. I told you how professional you were with me, no pressure. They said, I'd really like to talk to this guy or this girl. That'd be great, right? 5 or 10 of those a day. You're probably going to, well, I don't know how many you'd sign up, but I think you would do quite well through personal recommendation. And so my point is, what do you have right now that is concrete that allows someone to smoothly send you referrals? Do they even know how to do that? Could you set up a simple funnel where they could refer people and they could put their details in to get a call back or information? Do you have anything like that set up? Because if you don't, like, again, you're making sure that you never get a referral. And these are some of the best leads that you could ever generate and would alleviate the pressure on your own lead generation, right? So that's my final point. Now, the bonus one I would give you is I'm very big on teaching you to be a really solid entrepreneur, like a solid business owner. You choose to have all or part of your business in network marketing. That's your choice. But the principles and the guidance I give you, I always want you to be able to look at them and say, they just make sense. That is sound business advice. And so I think coming from a small business background, I kind of brought that ethos with me. And something I don't see anybody doing in our industry is really elevating your knowledge on the ability to adapt and adjust and review. Where are your leads coming from? Where is your interest coming from? Your last sign up, if you got one, where did it come from? A lot of people don't know the answer to these questions. And so they're missing out on the indicators that are in plain sight, leading them the right way. I went through this a number of years ago. I was putting all sorts of energy into all sorts of social media channels. And then my coach asked me, well, Richard, where do your actual sales and signups come from? And I was like, well, it's probably going to be a mixture of, no, not probably, Richard. I asked you, where do they come from? Go look, go ask these people. Go to your last 20 sales and ask them how they found out about you. And I had a presumption that it was all these different platforms as a mixture. Do you know what I got? YouTube, podcast, Facebook ad, YouTube, podcast. I was like, there's only 3 platforms that are doing anything for me. And I'm spending buckets of time on all these other social platforms, and they're literally doing nothing but take time from the platforms that are working for me. So what did I do? Having now seen and revealed that by asking that question, reviewing what I was doing, I was able to take time from things that weren't working and put it into things that were. Now I have over 1.2 million views on my YouTube channel. I have over, I think 700,000, I'm approaching 750,000 downloads of my podcast. I've had the same Facebook ad campaign running for nearly 2 years now that's got over 1,000 likes on the ad and over hundreds of comments. It's brought me a lot of money in. Again, I'm not saying that this will be the same for you, but what I can say is if I didn't review that, ask that question, I would have still probably been posting in 50 different places today. You probably see me on TikTok with, some kind of stupid outfit on, dancing for leads, which no one wants to see. So, you get my point? So every week I would suggest that you review what happened and what are you going to do about it? What can you do to make sure you get better results next week? What can you do to remove or adjust that didn't work so well? And is there a certain test you can run? Can you test a certain element of your business because you have an idea around that area and you're curious whether that would work or not, better or worse? Become genuinely interested in the processes and the results of your business. When you have that genuine interest and you're like a student in your own business, you'll find that opportunities open up, because instead of being so crushed or defeated or elated, up and down riding the waves of business, instead you're like, well, that was interesting. I wonder why that worked. I wonder why it didn't work. And you can really make some serious progress with that mindset and that approach. So was this useful? Longer video than usual, but I hope you found it helpful. Feel free to share it with your team or anyone you think would gain benefit. I'll put some resources in the description if I remember that will hopefully help you, especially if you're ambitious. And as I always say, go create a day in a life that counts. Always have more desires and excuses. If you're a subscriber, I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.